on. So let's go, Kevin, to a couple of questions. I've kind of bundled them together. And so one of them says, I'm looking for some clarity on the subsidy available for owner-manager corporations for arm's length employees. Is the subsidy available to an incorporated individual that pays themselves by T4? And the other question that we thought was somewhat similar was one that said eligibility. They wanted to know about eligibility for non-arm's length /owner/manager partner situations. Can you take a run at that, Kevin, and see what come up with?
Sure. So the first question is sort of a two-parter. The question first says, hey, I'm an owner-manager and I've got arm's length employees, and clearly the subsidy is going to apply to arm's length employees. And then I think the second half of the question is saying, what about the owner himself or herself? And yes, the subsidy will apply, keeping in mind that the owner-manager had to have paid him or herself salary in the pre-crisis period. So there's an absolute requirement for non-arm's length employees. They must have been employees previous to the crisis, and essentially the subsidy is going to be limited to 75% of that baseline remuneration. So that's the remuneration received between January 1st and March 15th of 2020. So 75% of that, up to a maximum of $847 per week. So that's sort of the difference for non-arm's length employees. You definitely had to have been an employee prior to the crisis. Second question, just dealing with owner-managers in general. They will be considered non-arm's length. Again, they must have been employed prior to the crisis starting. A few issues we're seeing thus far is how they're receiving their income. So we've had some questions where they don't receive remuneration. Instead, they receive dividends. Unfortunately, the rules don't look very favorable for that situation. We've also had some questions where the owner-manager pays themselves once a year at the end of the year. Again, that doesn't look like it's going to be favorable as well, because the rules are pretty clear that you have to have been paid again between January 1st and March 15th. So there's definitely a tightening for non-arm's length employees. But yes, generally speaking, the subsidy should be there for both arm's length and non-arm's length employees.